So, guys, welcome to another episode of the Insta Roundtable. And this is a place where ideas and leaders meet. With that, we start off, and today's agenda is very special. Today's agenda is how we can adopt to Industry 4.0 and the talent acquisition strategies in a digital world. Okay, so this is the topic for today. And so before we start off, let's talk about what we do. So we InstaHire is a platform which helps companies to find talent with 10x more accuracy and 10x less time compared to any other solutions in the market. So we work with the largest of the tech firms in the world. Here are a few examples which you can see on the screen. And now we move on to the next section where we have our brilliant speakers. So we have two HR leaders today, one from Nagarro and one from GoTo Financial. So I will like to introduce to you Anshu. Anshu is HR business partner at Nagarro. So over to you, Anshu, a brief introduction about yourself and what you're doing at Nagarro and what Nagarro is doing very special. Yes.
Thank you so much, Sarbaji, firstly for inviting me here. So to start with the introduction, I have overall 8 years of experience into talent acquisition and talent management. I have been fortunate enough to work with various industries and various MNCs and startups where I got a chance to build teams, processes from scratch, and also MNCs where I learned a lot how things work around, how you place processes, and how things evolve over time. So right now I'm working with Nagarro as a HR business partner. Here I take care of big data in the BFSI talent management team, and that's about me. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Anshu, lovely to have you. Now we have Susan. Susan is from GoTo Financial, and Susan is a principal TA partner there. So over to you, Susan, and a brief about yourself and about what your work is.
Sure. Thanks, Abhijit. Pleasure to be here with all of you guys. So basically, I have like a decade and a half years of experience, mostly in the talent acquisition space. Have helped build companies like Slack from scratch in India. That was like my claim to fame, I must say. And I'm currently working with GoTo Financial, which needs no introduction. It's a parent company is of Gojek, and of course, we are building a fintech super app there. I actually look after the entire data, and I must say that now GTF was for me, but it has been a brilliant journey, and I'm looking forward to the next adventure that awaits me. But that's where I am.
Great. Welcome. Lovely to have you guys. And with that, let's start off with the first question which I have. So I will go get on first with Susan. So Susan, how do you think, how do you navigate talent acquisition challenges which are there, and it's rapidly evolving in the landscape when you see the industry 4.0 coming in, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think industry 4.0 is here to stay, and we will have to learn to adapt and evolve as TA teams. So one of the things that I think on top of my mind is we'll have to look at our entire recruiting process as a whole and really see where we can kind of automate some of the mundane, repetitive tasks. And really use AI and generative AI, you call it your chat GPTs or anything that you want to call it, but really use this to our advantage to kind of streamline the process, take away this time that we spend, which is not really the best use of our intelligence as human, and really focus that to probably stakeholder management, candidate experience, and really streamlining. So look at your entire recruiting process as a whole, see where there are repetitive, mundane tasks, and kind of use AI to kind of eliminate that and automate that for your team. Another thing that I was really thinking about when I was thinking about TA challenges and how this whole industry 4.0 is going to, or digital world is going to replace some things that we are doing. I immediately thought of the take-home technical assignments, right? I remember companies were sticklers for it. Like they were like, no, until they have not done this take-home test, I'm not even going to look at this person. That's going to go, right? You have AI to kind of solve those problems for them. So we're not going to get authentic candidates. The solutions are not going to be able to be vetted across or propagated, right? In that sense. So I think that is also going to kind of change the industry landscape when it comes to technical hiring, especially. Another thing that I think the focus will obviously shift to more of learning and development as a team, and moving towards more of HR analytics, data analytics, and just being that market intelligence for our stakeholders, for candidate experience, and kind of evolve. Just to sum it up, some of the things that I can see AI really replace in the recruiting process would be, and it's much talked about in the industry, is your job descriptions. Obviously, interview scheduling has already taken that shape, and it's already been automated to a great extent. Also, very interesting, I'll talk more about it as we progress, is the interview feedback notes, which has been automated these days. There are companies who are doing some fantastic work in that space. And of course, drafting your email, your candidate communication, your stakeholder communication also evolves using these AI tools.
Okay, so if I can understand, like one is the JD will be hugely impacted. AI will build better JDs than we usually do. Now, interview scheduling, which has been mostly taken care of, interview feedback mechanism will be changed, and then candidate communication through like emailers and other chat messages. Maybe the bots will come in, like kind of to like get the initial thing. Okay, so over to you, Anshu. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, Susan has mentioned quite some interesting points, and what are your thoughts on the challenges which in the rapidly evolving landscape?
So I quite agree with Susan, the way she mentioned about the assignments which are going to be fake, and even resumes. There's so many portals which generate resumes for you. Every resume is going to look good on picture, right? So that is going to happen. And we, as a HR professional, we really need to be smart. So when we are taking a call with the candidate, we really need to figure out, is it a fake experience or is it a real experience? Is he faking his resume? Or, those things, we have to be really smart to actually cross AI based, fakeness. So that comes with human touch only. And also we need to have a huge focus on onboarding and the candidate experience, because we are the face of the organization, right? So when we automate a lot of things, like InstaHire has thing like you can send emails, very lucrative emails, right? We automate few things, and we really focus on candidate and onboarding experience. And we really need to be smart to see what is fake and what is real when we are screening, right? So that is what we need to change.
And also, do you think about biases? It will go up, like biases will go outside, or more biases will creep in when the technology learns about your choices, or maybe based on many choices which they learn.
So yeah, there was Amazon thing that happened where there were some biases. So that has to be looked at. If our screening or the portal we are using, is it really doing some kind of bias, or our hiring managers are doing certain kind of biases? We really have to go forward and break those if that is happening, and that's where we come in, right? So
yes, that's the human touch where we come in. Okay, so the next question I will go for Anshu. The innovative strategies like which you think will be implemented to attract and retain talent, because as of now, when we see, there are a lot of events which happen. First of all, there is COVID, and then there is a economic downturn, and then there is a lot of turmoil in the industry. So what innovative strategies have you seen being implemented to attract and retain top talent that aligns with your goal of the org, which is basically like digital transformation goals of your company?
So in this talent acquisition industry 4.0, two things are very important. One is AI, and another is social media. So social media campaigns, employer branding, your employer telling you stories, especially your hiring team should be your brand ambassador, right? You really need to pick people who are taking interviews. Not everyone is very willing to take interviews, right? These people are the brand ambassadors. So we have to very carefully select them, right? We don't need any bad candidate experience. That's one of the challenge I've worked in past, right? Then social media campaigns. We ran a social media campaign on LinkedIn for various hiring drives for women hiring and everything. So that really impacted, our social media presence and the brand that we have. And also, we really need to keep a tab on the Glassdoor and whatever reviews people are posting, whether it's about interviews or about the companies. We really need to address those. If we don't look at them, we will be, in great trouble. So it's those things we really have to be very careful about. And also, we have to understand today's tech talent. They are looking for challenging roles. They are looking for fast growth. They are not looking for comforting environments. They are looking
Mm-hmm.
for changing technologies, new technologies, adopting technologies. We have to provide all those opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a phase where we are looking for comfort. We are
Mm-hmm.
really have to drive these things and we have to intervene. So human touch in that ways also has to be there when we, carefully examine these things. So that is it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, great. So social listening and branding and focus on new tech will be the ones which can. So Susan, any thoughts on this? Would you like to contribute on this?
I think Anshu summed it up very well. I just want to add one more point is
Okay.
adding to what she said is that you can do all your social media, you can do everything well, but if you don't walk the talk, when
Mm.
somebody walks into your company, it's a failure. So your employer branding will fall flat if, like she rightly mentioned, if your interviewers are not emulating or actually having those values when they are taking those interviews, right? So really, the candidates are getting smarter.
Mm.
People know what they want when they come into the organization,
Mm.
and some things are very non-negotiable. So really, meeting those criteria to attract and retain the talent is something that I would add on to that.
Wonderful points, wonderful points. And so I will move on to the next one. Okay, so this is for Susan. Susan, you can start off. How do you ensure a balanced approach to acquiring talent with both the technical side of it and the essential, like the soft skills part of it in the industry 4.0 region, where like there's a lot of tech going on. There's like Web3 and blockchain and chat GPT and bunch of other things, and then there is soft skills, which is kind of taking the backseat, maybe, or I don't know. Like you can
Yeah.
put some light on it. Yeah.
I think that's absolutely right. And as HR TA professionals, we will agree that that focus is not there. And especially in the tech industry where you're looking at a techie, people are really okay with compromising on some of the soft skills. I think we can start with right from the job description. So, job description has to have emphasis on the soft skills as well as the technical skills, if not as much, and not vague things like we want a superstar, we want a team player, passionate. I think they have to be very actionable words and verbs that will be like, somebody who takes ownership, somebody is a servant leader. Things like that has to be a part of the job description, and given that much importance when you're vetting a resume as well, when you're talking to a candidate as a recruiter as well. Another thing is, I personally feel, and like Anshu rightfully said, your interviewers are your brand ambassadors, right? So your entire interview process, your interviewers should be trained to take behavioral interviews. I personally feel that from the time I started my career in 2008, we used to do behavioral interviewing as recruiters, but that was not really an expectation from the tech interviewers or any other roles hiring, right? So really, I'm not saying that let the whole interview be about that, but at least 2 or 3 questions in the end. Because what I used to see is we would reach the end of the cycle, and when I'm taking an interview, final HR round with somebody, they are just not culture fit. They are just not going to gel with the team. There is going to be frictions. You can already foresee people issues happening, whether they are managers or ICs, right? And we have to reject that candidate and have that difficult conversation with the hiring manager. So I want to avoid that. Plugging these behavioral interviews in is going to be pretty helpful to have a balance between both tech and soft skills. And another thing I think should be brought back to a certain extent, especially for managerial and executive hiring, is psychometric tests. Uh,
Okay.
when I started my career, we did that a lot. We had Thomas Filing, and we had some really, they were expensive, but especially for executive hiring, they allow you to understand how they perceive themselves, how others perceive them, and the balance of values that you're looking for from them in the organization. So I think these things can help probably with the whole 4.0 coming into being to balance out the tech and the soft skills part of things.
Great insights. Okay, so Anshu, your thoughts on this? Like Susan has mentioned a lot, like psychometric tests should come in, and there should be a balance of both the soft skills and tech skills. So, what are your thoughts on how to provide this fine balance, because as of now, as we go, like there is a lot of data available, there is a lot of people available, and then we just need to reach out to the maximum number of people. So at some point of time, we might be compromising on the soft skills, and maybe we need to build products faster, so we get onto more and more guys who can build it faster for us. So yeah, tech skills is getting a little bit of a head start in this case. So over to you, Anshu. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Right. So as Susan said, culture is something we really have to look at, right? Culture fitment. So there are certain roles which really need a person to be good at soft skills as well, like client facing role, or there's a people manager role. We really get a lot of issues where, a person is behaving or saying in such a manner that he's not able to do people management properly. So we do mentor those people how to go about it right way. But in these kind of roles, we really need to have a equal focus on the soft skills and the technical skills, because these roles demand that. And especially in a remote working area, if a people manager is not interacting with the whole team, people will be aloof. A lot of employees come to HR because they are not able to connect with their managers. They are afraid because we are not in an office environment right now, right? So a manager has to do connects with their teams, right? A person who is in a client-facing role really need to have communication skills. So these are non-negotiable in these roles, especially. And even when you are promoting people, they have to be mentored and trained on these by people managers, right? So it's really a focus in this era. So yeah, that is about.
Okay, great. So the next question is very, very special, and I hope that we will have a lot of things to talk on it. Let's start with Susan first. So how do you promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in the strategies which you take, and how is it impactful? Like, how does it impact your organization goals?
Yeah, I think DEI is very close to my heart as well. Starting in the tech industry eons ago, it has been an uphill for me myself being a diversity hire. Little story that I like to share, like in Slack, I was the 13th hire and the only woman hire for almost like 8 months. And it was amazing. But at the same time, you understand how real diversity, even in a basic sense of gender, is in an industry, right? So I think one of the things that I really feel very strongly about is to use AI, and I want to talk a little bit more about it because I was attending these sessions and I met with this co-founder who has this product called MetaView, and he had into interview feedback notes and automating the interview feedback notes as a tool. And I thought that was so interesting because there is so much potential. One is, of course, it simplifies your life because everything is just noted and the hiring manager has to just ship off the interview feedback without actually sitting and typing it out, right? Based on the interview that you've had with the individuals. It will take the questions, answers, etc. I was thinking, what if we go one step further and that or some tool can help us understand if there are biases in the questions asked? What was the tone? We can also look at the data that is available through these interview feedbacks over a period of time and see, are there certain questions that certain gender is not able to answer, or a certain a group of people are not comfortable answering or are struggling to answer? Can we look at any biases that are creeping into the process, and where is it? Is it in a gender fashion? Is it in educational institutions that you hire for? Right, you can see a trend, which is very difficult right now to kind of go back and say that a particular interviewer is biased towards X thing, or there are certain genders are not able to answer or are not open. Very, very frankly, I see a problem that when I'm doing hiring, women were not open to take a lot of take-home assignments, right? Okay. So I would lose a lot of candidate in the process. In the initial screening, they could be amazing, but if they would not find the time to really sit and do that, I couldn't take them ahead in the process, right? As simple as that. Are we ready to go back, look at our interview process, and see how we can accommodate these things, right? And kind of be more inclusive in our hiring process. I think those things obviously is important. And again, AI can be used to kind of design your job descriptions, which will be inclusive. which I think is a major gap. We think we are being inclusive. Even in our offer letters, if you'll see, sometimes I've seen that it's him, her is missing. Now we have to move towards more of being gender, unbiased in that sense. So really looking at everything, that communications that go out, are we really, or do we say he a lot, or do we really go as he or she or him and her? Is something that we have to really look at on an overview as well, to be more inclusive and diverse. And again, last point I want to point out is we generally look at diversity as only gender, and it's a very big scope, and it has to be in line with culture you're giving that diverse candidates who are going to come in. Just by saying I want diversity and giving them an environment is not going to help.
Okay, great points. And the last point which you made is basically diversity is not about gender; it's about other types of diversity. And I would like to come to Anshu. So, what are your thoughts on this? And a little brief. As I had a discussion with an HR leader, so this guy works with a very big e-commerce, like the largest e-commerce company, and he tells me that we have started hiring from fields which are like not MBA or engineer and the normal guys. We have got veterans to come in and work with us so that they can sort out certain things. So this is also one kind of diversity where we bring people who are like from a different field altogether, from different world altogether. So that
Yes,
also
like army, you bring
yes,
people
yes,
from
yes, the
army.
veterans, yes, veterans, and
Veterans.
yeah, and also yeah. So Anshu, you can throw some light on this, and what do you think about DEI in the present sense? It's not about only gender; it's about a lot of more things to it. So yeah, over
Yeah,
to
there's a lot of things actually, not just one thing, women specific, right? So when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and equity, in Nagaro, we have offices across, like we have opened offices in tier 2 cities. So we might get more culturally diverse talent who wants to work from remote locations, right? And
yes,
also interact with people around who are there. Small communities we have formed. So this really brings very diverse cultural talent to us, right? And then again, there are a lot of initiatives that happen where people have certain position open for physically handicapped people, right? So that has to happen, right? As a part of CSR initiative as well, we really have to look at it. Then the LGBTQ community, right? We should be open for that as well. These are the things really need to be the focus. And when it comes to women hiring, we need to have people at a leadership roles, especially women. Once you have a woman at a leadership role, she will automatically take care of these things, women in her workforce, right? So that is some of the major things we can do. And one of the experience I can think about this, which I did in 1MG, we really ran a marketing campaign where we took the help of marketing team as well. So we created a lot of banners. We did a women hiring drive. Invited people like some pretty big scientists like Catherine come to us, join our team, and a lot of campaigns, a lot of applicants we got, and we really got a good hiring ratio at that time. So all of these things need to be looked at. But one thing for sure, once you have a woman at a leadership position, this automatically taken care of, right? Yeah.
Understood. And what are the strategies or new things which are coming up in DEI? Like, say, I have been talking to a few other folks. They have sessions where they come in and they also sort out some issues. Like, so after COVID, the talent pool has become mostly fluid. As you said, that there are a lot of tier 2 offices which you have. Even now, the people also have colleagues in different countries. So there's a lot of cultural diversity also, which might be looked at. So that is also like, what are the strategies which you think has been implemented or can be implemented in the near future on this cultural diversity aspect also?
So in Nagaro, we have I Am Remarkable, meetings where we invite people, men, women, and we talk about things, how we can remove biases, right? Especially in hiring, and those things we talk about. And men really participate, they really get engaged. So this is one of the things that we do in Nagaro. And I think these sessions really help, right?
Okay.
So I myself has faced a interview where a person really asked me, such a biased question. I really felt what kind of hiring experience he's giving, So like, you have marriage plans, you're going to take leaves, then let us know in advance. I went, You will not ask this question to a man, right?
Yeah, been there as well, Anushu. So I feel you.
So I really had to put a review there. So
Okay.
I really avoided my experience as well, especially.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
Great insights, guys. So let's move on to the next one. I think Anshu, I will start with you. So, like, how has your experience have been your companies which you have worked at leveraged AI, ML, and data analytics to optimize the talent acquisition in this age? Like optimization will mean like streamlining stuff and any new technologies which has crept in or anything new which you have seen being done in this kind of segments where like talent acquisition can be divided into many parts. Like you can say which part is the most impacted with these technologies.
So in 1MG, we adopted InstaHire. That was the one thing. It was really good, right? Such beautiful in-mails it used to write, reminders it used to send, and really good resumes we used to get. A lot of time-saving effort.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
it really helped us in hiring very good people, right?
Thank you
As
so much.
compared to other portals.
Okay.
So AI really has that power where it reduces our manual efforts. Supposedly, we post jobs, right? We get
Mm.
2,000, 3,000 resumes, right?
Mm.
We also have to respond to these people because obviously candidate experience has to be the focus, right?
Mm.
So this helps us in responding to each employee who is not fit for the position, finding relevant people whom we can talk to and screen. We cannot talk to 3,000 applicants, right? So these things really help in these areas. It gets really tough for us to, screen so many resumes. It's not humanly possible, actually,
Mm. Mm.
right? So AI picking relevant resumes from the database and
Mm.
sending responses to all, automating such things really helps us. So that is something I think InstaHire really helped us there
Okay. Okay.
as compared to others.
Okay. Also, AI also helped in one thing that we also implement this, and we have got very good results. Is the candidate? If you see on the other side, the candidate will always want to go for jobs which are like a little bit higher than her level, right?
Yeah.
So if you can tell her that, hey, this job might be not at your level, and you have a 10% or 20% chance to get a reply back from the recruiter, he or she might refrain from applying, or maybe apply after some time when she has got a little bit more experience. So that we have also implemented.
Right.
That is also done by AI, so that you don't get 2,000 people, you get 500 people, but this 500 people will be very relevant for you.
Yeah.
The 1,500 people which you are not getting will get different jobs which might be relevant for them. So that is also one thing which we have done, like the automated filtering which we talk about. Yeah, so that is one thing. And what do you think about the engagement part, which you have seen like new things coming up? I have had a lot of discussions with people who are very very keen on this kind of video interviews, because a lot of video interviews have been taken and people can like track the eyeball and the movement of the person, and can find out like how's the personality or something like that. So anything on?
That really helps, right? We have so many experiences where a fake candidate is getting hired and we are not
Okay.
able to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I think from Hyderabad, certain things are happening.
Okay.
People have whole institutes. They are running these rackets,
Acha.
and getting these people out of system is also very tough. You cannot prove it, right? So this thing really helps there. Really helps there, because we are not meeting face to face for interviews now. It's mostly virtual. So being able to figure out if I'm speaking or person behind is speaking, right?
A prompting
really
or fraud
important.
detection kind
Yes.
of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that really helps.
Okay, great insights, Anshu. Okay, open to you, Susan. So, any thoughts on this? And like you have worked at companies which have implemented AI ML in a very very large scale, right? So,
Yeah.
any thoughts on this? Yes.
Yeah, I think I was very closely working with the data team. So if I have to go to my stakeholder and say this is not working, I couldn't just go with my word. I had to go with data. So we did a lot of data analytics. We used to use InstaHire a lot to get market intelligence also, that, hey, look, these are the kind of people available. This is the candidate pool that's available. now what do you want to do, right? Let's see if we can compromise on certain skill sets, how we can look at a particular set of people. So we've also used Insta to do a lot of market intelligence with respect to even compensation benchmarking, or even when it comes to candidate pool, right? So definitely leveraging these tools for different reasons, right? You don't, like, even LinkedIn we can use for that particular reason. Having, like Anshu said, and like you rightfully said, we have very vetted candidates through Insta Hire, which makes our life easy, which is what we're looking at. We don't want to look at 100 resumes. So we really use data intelligently to kind of make a point and make a change. I don't think we can anymore go and this is not working. We have to back it by data now. So we use a little bit of those things to kind of get work across.
Okay, great. So then let me come back to Anshu. So Anshu, like, what are the key challenges you have faced when you have adopted a kind of a remote work, or like, say, virtual collaboration strategy? So how did your talent acquisition strategies change when everything was remote, everything was like virtual collaboration, interviews were done virtually, and how have you addressed them? Like, what are the things which you have implemented or your team has implemented?
So when we were face to face, we used to do drives, right, on Saturdays, and we used to get a lot of offers made. Now we have to do virtual interviews, right? That scope is very less to do all the interviews in one day, because a lot of collaboration is needed and not possible virtually, right? So a lot of time was needed to fill positions, right? And that was a challenge. Also, virtual interaction, people were not used to it. People were not really used to it. People used to only understand when they are meeting face to face, right? And that mindset had to be shifted when we came to this point. People were not opening their cameras in interviews, right? We had to really tell them, right, this, you have to open, at least keep your camera open. You have to be dressed well and according to the, that. So a lot of things changed in a virtual environment, right? Connect, employee connect, or candidate connect. Because once a person comes to office, right, he really gets an idea what kind of company I'm going into. In a virtual environment, he really cannot see that, right? So to make a person join, a lot of connect calls needed with leadership, a lot of folks to make him convinced, right? Because he's not able to look at the environment the company has without a face-to-face connect, right? So those things were really challenging for us as a talent acquisition professional. So now we have quite adapted to it, and quite a things changed. But yeah, these were the challenges. Yeah.
Okay, great. Susan, over to you. You have been working with a company which has like offices almost a lot of in Southeast Asia, India, different parts of India. So what are your thoughts on this? How did you face some challenges when doing this? And your challenges might not be in India, but abroad also. So like cultural challenges also in terms of like virtually connecting with people, and mostly remote work. So how have you faced the challenges, and what are your like remedies for this?
Yeah, I think 3 years ago, this has become a norm now, right? Like since COVID. And I'm actually of the opposing, I think I'm of an opposing opinion that actually it's a good thing for me as a recruiter. Very honestly, I'm going to be taking a very selfish stand here. I get the availability of candidates during the interview timings, right? During the day, which was never possible. I was hardly possible. Somebody had to take leaves. Suddenly work came. Here it's like, okay, even if I have a slot from 2 to 3 and they said, Array, I have a meeting coming up. I said, okay, fine, let's move this to 5 to 6. Both parties, the interviewer as well as the candidate, is flexible because they're all working from home. You can kind of have your early lunch, sit down. You don't necessarily are saying, okay, this is my lunchtime, I cannot take this, or 5 o'clock I have to catch the bus, which takes me back 2 hours to go back home in places like Bangalore and Gurgaon. So, you are getting this flexibility of the quick availability of candidates. So my pool gets bigger. Plus, when it's remote, again, automatically the pool increases. And the mindset of people have also changed into how to take interviews in that sense. But talking culturally, yes, there are. I've seen Southeast Asia, including India, is very, very in-person interviews, including us. When I was at Slack, we would fly people from Bangalore, but we would not do the final round of interviews over video conferences or anything else, right?
Hmm.
We would make sure that they are in office and we would give them. But looking at how the world is progressing and how things are going to be, I think it's going to stay. And we have such amazing video conferencing tools. AI is coming in to really help us. Teams, Slack, Zoom, Google Meet, everybody's upping the game, right? And now Bing and Microsoft having generative AI chat GPT, they're doing some amazing work. As we know, in this area and space, like they're going to automate
Yes.
questions in the meeting, etc. So everything is going to get a little more digitalized than what it is today and make our life simpler.
Great, great, great points made. So I will continue with the next part of the question is, so we have talked about how can we maintain a very strong employer brand, okay, in the digital world. Like what are your thoughts on this? Like it is a very broad question. You can break it down into different parts. So I will start with Susan. So how do you maintain a very strong employer brand in this global like in a digital world, and to attract the best talent and also foster a culture of innovation is very important, because as you see, everything is changing. Like we have GPT-3, GPT-4, and then we might have other versions, so everything is changing. Like we had a very big revolution on web3 blockchain kind of stuff, and then there everything changes within minutes, and in some technology something changes in hours, and maybe something changes in months. So what do you think of this employer brand, and how you can leverage employer brand to get the brightest of these folks who are out there in the market?
Yeah, actually, in Gojek and GTF, towards the last couple of months, we really tried focusing on revamping the entire employer branding. And we took some really good initiatives, both internally as well as externally, to kind of make it happen. The major focus was basically on candidate experience, right? When you're talking about TA, I think that is very important. Evaluating candidate feedback. So we had a very strong candidate feedback system where we would get the feedback, analyze them, see where we can make the areas of improvement. Another thing is, which is not TA related, but they did gamify the entire onboarding experience. So Gojek team TA team actually prepared a gamification process of how the onboarding looks, as if you're using our own. So if you know, Gojek is obviously like a on-demand services, right? So the bike, and then you take the bike and go through the offices, and you have that virtual environment created as if you're going into the Indonesia office headquarters and seeing the things that are happening, and gamifying the whole process. That just creates a little more innovative way of onboarding people rather than showing them decks and things like that, which I found was extremely fun and innovative. Coming to the employer branding side of things, I think that's what, having an immersive candidate experience. What I've noticed is a lot of companies have their website for customers, and the landing page talks a lot about the product and how the customers are, but really don't put in the equal efforts into their landing page for recruiting, right? For candidate applications, job applications. Honestly, if it takes you 2 hours to fill a job application, personally, I feel like it's not needed, right? You are not going to evaluate the entire person based on what they've written. I don't even know how many people read it. So really being quick so that you get more responses, you are giving that experience to the candidate, that it's easy to apply, that we are adaptable, we are flexible. We want to see you and what you bring on the table when I pick up the phone, right? And I think also that be very quick, innovative. I think we are very afraid to fail fast. And I understand when it comes to larger organizations or MNCs, it would be difficult to really do that. But if you're a smaller, be snappy, be quick at trying something out, fail fast. And because today, like you said, it's evolving so much, somebody else is coming up with that idea, and you're going to be left behind saying, "Oh, I had thought about this 3 months ago in a conference room or in a meeting room." So, yeah.
Okay, and so what are your thoughts on the leadership involvement to create a very strong employer brand? I saw like Go-To Leadership also has been quite very active on the social media channels, so that that also helps. That gives a very positive message to the candidates also. Ki, we have someone which is proactive out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think leaders will have to step up in this situation, because when it comes, because I feel that who can be more passionate about your product or services or what you're selling than the either the co-founders or the executive leadership, because they're so close to the uh, problem in that sense that they are solving for the world, right?
Hmm.
So I think when they speak passionately, and I'll say that when I hear my CEO talk passionately, I feel connected to the brand. I feel connected to, hey, look, I need to get good people for this so that they can do the work that they have to do, right?
Hmm.
So I think when leadership talks, there is that authenticity, there is that passion that they bring, which is getting going to be important for, like you mentioned, the employee branding. So yeah, I think it's absolutely essential.
Great, great, great insight, Susan. Thank you so much. So let's go to Anshu. Anshu, about the employer brand and how we can build stronger employer brands in this kind of scenario, where like there is a lot of talks about. So it's not on the like the social media channels have been stagnant. That there has been a lot of new social media channels which come in, like
Mhm.
Telegram, Discord,
Right.
GitHub has been very actionable. Right now there is another trend which is influencer marketing, where like an influencer inside the companies also are operating. Like if you see, there are many companies who have hired influencers, or some employees of that company have become influencers, as in like
Mhm.
on different
Yeah,
social media.
right.
So what are your things on this, like the new trends which are coming in? Like it's not only about making beautiful brand pages or sending some beautiful videos, it's about the day-to-day life. And uh, yeah, so over to you, your thoughts on this.
So yeah, one thing you said really right, that leadership, right? So the way your leader is talking on LinkedIn, people really look at it.
Hmm.
Like in Nagaro, also people are very appreciative about leader, that anytime you reach out to him, he will always answer.
Hmm.
Anyone can reach out to him. When you going to office, he interacts with everyone, right?
Hmm.
There's no cabin, that relationship where people would be apprehensive to talk to him. So everyone is very appreciative about any company that I've worked with, whether it's 1mg, Credgenics, or Nagaro. The leadership has been amazing in building the
Hmm.
employer brand, because they're very reachable, right, and very easy to connect with.
Hmm.
Apart from that, I think there are three pillars to it. One is candidate experience, employee experience, and the onboarding experience. You have these things right, everything is just set out, right? You have to continuously look at your Glassdoor and every page, right? If because we are not aware if someone is creating a bad environment, right? We
Hmm.
have to investigate those issues, right? If someone is raising alarm, right? So those things has to happen. We in 1mg we really had our ways to measure candidate experience. We used to in office, once the interview was done, used to let the person fill the form that was there, right? And we really analyzed that data, and we really measured what kind of candidate experience, and then we had to really structure the interview processes and what people has to be there,
Hmm.
who will take interviews, because not everyone is not taking it in the right direction, right?
Hmm.
People can have bad experiences as well. So those things really help, right? So again, emphasizing on leadership, candidate experience, onboarding experience, and these things are really important.
Agree. And so, Anshu, for larger organizations like which are very large and which
Mhm.
have been in existence for like say 10 years, 20 years down the line, and for the new crop of people who like new breed of engineers which is coming in, so they want to work in companies which are like smaller, more agile, and they are
Right.
solving problems. But if you see the larger organization, I have been talking to a lot of very large organizations. They tell us that we are also solving problems, but ours is also problem which is absolutely like 100x times scale than the startups which are solving. But we cannot promote that, or we cannot get that word out. Like as you told that by leadership or by employee branding, like employee
Mhm.
becoming brand ambassadors, can this problem be solved for the larger organizations?
So in Nagaro, since starting,
Hmm.
our leadership was very clear. We need to have a caring culture, and they
Okay.
always emphasized on that,
Hmm.
no matter what. So it depends what kind of leadership you have, right?
Hmm.
Until date, you ask any Nagaro employee, you will hear, the company is really caring. The
Hmm.
company is really caring, and our core value also stands for caring. So
Okay.
that has been intact till date, right?
Hmm.
So leadership has a really good influence in this area, right? So I was also amazed how such a big organization is able to maintain that. but it happens, right? Once you have the right leadership. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so great insights, guys, Susan and Anshu. So let's start off with the audience questions. I have one audience question, uh, which has come on chat with me. So the person is EV Srinivasa Raju, and he works in Publicity Sapient, and he has a question on diversity. Anyone can take up the question, or both of you can take up the question. So it's like he's asking, like, how does it benefit the organization, and in what ways diversity benefits an organization, in what ways? So anyone, if you can take up the question, or both of you can take up the question. No issues with that.
So I think, in my opinion, you need all kind of people to exist in the world, right? Like when you look at your human body, the eye cannot say that I am less important than your hand or the leg. So I think that's what diversity is in that sense. When you work with different kind of people and different set of people from different, like you said, backgrounds, environments, cultures, it firstly you evolve as a company. You get to see different nuances within the organization as far as the human interaction is concerned. You bring in a lot of different mindsets into when you're building. So if somebody, I maybe, so it's a belief that women are more empathetic, right? So if I'm looking at a certain situation, I can bring in empathy more than my male counterpart, right? So different people bring in different qualities, and when you're building out a product which is going to be used by different people, or a service that is going to be taken in by other people, I think all opinions matter. So I think that's where the differentiation comes in, and why diversity has become important in today's day and age.
Understood. So we move on to the next question, which is from Neha, she's from Noida, and she's asking, like, how can organization balance embracing new technologies in talent acquisition and ensuring the human touch is also preserved in the recruitment process? So so anyone can take up the question.
So human touch is going to stay there, right? So when we speak about candidate experience, onboarding experience, it is going to stay there, right? Because as in, we are the face of the organization, as I mentioned earlier, right? So people really form an opinion once we have these experiences intact, right? And machines cannot do that, because once we are speaking to someone, building relationship and networking is very important. I have people who are not even joining me, right? Even if I keep a positive relationship with them, in future in some other organization, I'll be knowing, this person was good and I can hire, So that kind of networking has to be there, which cannot be done by machines, right? So these things really matter. Building relationship, networking, and these things really play an important role. The human resources, human without human cannot be there, right? So that has to, even people in MLB without people cannot be there. So even if you see Future of Jobs report, which has recently been published, there has been a huge demand of talent acquisition professionals. On the top, you would see a lot of job posting for talent acquisition professionals or talent management professionals. So if Future of Jobs report is saying that, obviously,
Okay. So the next question I will go to you guys from Naresh from Hyderabad. So he asked that, what advice would you give to smaller companies or startups who are trying to adopt their TA strategies to the industry 4.0 but have limited resources? Yes. So anyone can answer this.
I think I have come from a lot of startup backgrounds. I've worked with some small scale to really mid-size organization. So I think at that point, it would be your employer branding in the simplest term, but very importantly, your candidate experience. The touch point, every candidate comes into your organization has to have a very high worth of experience, because these are going to be the people who are going to go out and be your brand ambassadors as well, right? If you've given them a good experience, whether they decide to join you or not join you, they will be speaking about it, whether it is on social media, whether it is with their friends. They will be referring people. I have hired people through candidate references most when I've worked in smaller organizations, right? We've built teams from scratch because they're like, okay, I've joined this. It's an amazing company. Why don't you come? So I think spending, and that's where Anshu said the human touch is where it will come in play, because you can't be disconnected from people. If you have to feel very connected to make a brand in that sense. Another thing is you'll have to be very scrappy. So use free tools like right now ChatGPT is free. Make the most of it when it comes to designing your candidate communications or designing your what you want to interact on the social media with the world outside. Right, curate it properly. Make sure it's inclusive. Make sure it is capturing the entire diverse market that is available, and find inexpensive tools. There are a lot of organizations who are doing some fantastic work in building AI tools for HR. I can name a few after this, and you can really go there and have a look at it, which are very reasonable and kind of get the work done. And most importantly, use your employees to kind of be the face for your company, right? So whether they are in communities or they're anywhere else, they will be your people to go and get more referrals and have a great referral bonus in place so that you entice more people like the ones you already have.
Understood. Great answer. Hopefully, Naresh, you have got your answer. And next question, I will go to Abhishek from Bangalore has asked, like, how do you foresee the role of HR leaders evolving as Industry 4.0 continues to reshape the world of work and talent acquisition?
Okay.
Yeah.
To add to that, I think we are seeing a lot of layoffs happening, right? So we really need to figure out how many people we need to hire. That has to be planned in a very good manner, because it's not easy to do these things. This really ruin the employer brand. So we need to sit and see why we are hiring someone, and sit with leadership, because they are also not very thoughtful about hiring. So how many people we need to hire, we really need to be very careful why we are hiring someone, right? So identifying the demands and the need of the company, hiring needs of the company, it's very important. And talent budgeting, and those things, like what is the revenue of the company, how much is the employee cost, those things need to be looked at, right? So we are at the right place, and we are not doing unnecessary layoffs. I think because we did a lot of hiring last year and we really made inflated offers, now we're in this situation, right? So every year these things are changing. So that is a very strategic thing that has to happen. Secondly, HR analytics is coming into picture now, right? So a lot of new roles are evolving now. We have to figure out new JDs, new roles that come. Now ChatGPT is a huge revolution. One person can do the job of 4 people, right? Very easily. So a lot of things are going to change. And that strategic mindset and thinking has to come from the HR leaders, right? Yeah.
Okay. Understood. So one question I have from the audience is Sonia Hota. She is asking that how can we do differently? What can we do differently to stay relevant while adapting to Industry 4.0 and the next upcoming versions? Anyone?
I think we as a fraternity have to firstly have a culture of keeping ourselves abreast with what's happening. So far, I feel like we were very removed from technology. We could hire the best front end, back end engineers, but we couldn't understand technology to the level that we should. I think that needs to change. So really understanding how technology evolves. My thing is, make your techie your best friend. Okay, and I do this all the time. I go and sit with my engineers, and when they were building out Slack, I would sit and say, okay, how are you doing this? How are you automating this? What are you building? You can, it helps you when you're hiring, but B, also it helps you to understand what product you're building. And you can talk in the sense that engineers, it can make sense to the engineers. Secondly, be relevant, read a lot. See who are like you have these roundtable sessions, right? Attend as many as possible. Try to keep yourself. You sometimes you may just find a gem when people are talking and saying, "Oh yeah, this I can incorporate in my organization, or this I can do." Be aware of the new tech that is coming up and follow the right people who write well, blog well, and are more close to tech, HR in tech in that sense.
Okay. So I will come to the last question. I have one more question from the audience. So Ruchika Das has asked about what do you suggest about and how do we cure pre-joining attrition? Pre-joining, like drop-offs. offer drop-off? So this is a question which comes up every time I do a roundtable. So anyone can answer, or both of you can answer. This is a very good and broad topic. So yeah, over to you guys.
So I think again the same focus, candid experience, right? In 1MG, what we used to do, we used to invite people to spend one day in office, right, and look at the environment. So they used to sit what people are doing and look around, and that really helped us in upping the ratio, right? And we really need to have an understanding of, what is this person looking for? Is it looking for a comforting environment, or is looking for a challenging role? And how he's going to choose among the offers, whether it's just money for him or it's about the role for him, right? So once as an HR you have that understanding, you really have to pick people very carefully, because obviously we have thousands of applicants, right? We pick those people who are culturally fit, who are looking for challenging roles, and we really need to provide them growth paths, and such things we have to be really careful about, right? This really helps. We cannot just, for the sake of fulfilling a position and under the pressure, we cannot just go about offering anyone, right?
Okay.
Even if we hear back, but yeah, we have to be careful about it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Susan, any thoughts on this, like pre-joining offer drop-offs?
I think post-offer engagement is going to evolve and has to evolve, because we all have faced it. So I think weekly connects is obviously what you do. Involve your leadership. Have them speak to the candidates. I know that they are very precious on their time, but make sure that there is a connect. Maybe if it's a group of people who are joining, can have a leadership connect. You have to help them understand what you're trying to build and what problem you're trying to solve and how they will make a difference. And I've seen that has worked wonderfully. When you just say, hey, listen, we need you. Or we need to fill this role. When they just look at them as that, it doesn't really, you don't relate to it. But when you say, what, you have this and we need to solve this problem, so you are the puzzle that is going to fit in right in and help us solve this puzzle. We really need you. And that's when that connect happens, and people feel engaged even before they have joined, thinking, oh, how I can solve this, what tech stacks are we going to work on, and really engaging them with any community things that we are also doing internally.
Okay, so we come to the close of this session. So Susan and Anshu, I will take 1 minute of your time so that you can have any last minute thoughts for the people who are watching, all the folks which are watching. Any tips or techniques or new innovation which you want to share? You have maybe in a 1.5 minutes you can share it. So I will start with Anshu. You can start off. Any last minute suggestions which you want to give to our folks who are watching it?
Yeah. So a lot of things are evolving and we have to change with times. We cannot be stuck in the old patterns, right? So as industry changes, we have to use ChatGPT if needed, right? We have to use everything that is possible, right? We cannot stick to the old ways, right? So that has to happen. Like at one point, LinkedIn X-ray search was very relevant, right? People learned that and people pulled it off. Some people were not able to evolve to that. Now we have ChatGPT. Half of the talent acquisition people might be leveraging that and some of may not be, right? So we really need to be up in our game. We have to leverage everything that is possible. People even hire from GitHub, Stack Overflow, go to that extent, right? So hackathons are there, tech meetups, invite people in your office for tech meetups that we have done in 1MG. So a lot of things has to evolve with times and we have to be upgraded according to that. We cannot be stuck in the old pattern. We have to continuously learn and evolve, right? Even as a product, InstaHire has to evolve, right? So we, as human, we has to evolve.
Exactly.
That has to happen. Without that, we will be stuck here.
So change is the new, change is always there.
Yeah. Upgrade yourself. Yeah.
Upgrade yourself. Yes. So, okay, Susan, over to you. Any thoughts for the young people and guys who are there for any kind of suggestions or feedback?
Sure. I think I don't think ChatGPT or AI is going to replace us. So first thing to the TA team, HR fraternity, we're not going to get replaced. We just have to get smarter. I've been attending a lot of AI sessions for HR, and I want to sum it up by saying how few things we can use to automate using ChatGPT and other generative AI. And also one thing I want to leave with you guys is that before you as TAs or HRs should go to your stakeholders and say, hey, I'm going to solve this HR and TA problem using tech. Instead of a techie coming and telling you, you know what, I think, Susan, there is a problem in your TA. Let me solve it for you. So let us become the techies, especially using AI. It's simpler. Let's learn, evolve, and kind of solve that problem within the fraternity. And very quickly, I have used ChatGPT for various things. One is for resume building. I have built my own resume when I was looking for a job recently using ChatGPT completely from scratch. I've helped other profiles and teams and friends use that as well. Emailing, right? Interviews, questions and things like that. Like I've practiced with ChatGPT to ask through questions, what do you think this particular person is in this position? What do you think they're going to ask me? What questions should I ask for this particular role? I've pasted a job description and said, how should I portray myself for this particular position? What should I be prepared with, etc. And it would throw you questions. Of course, job descriptions and sourcing also, you can find your target companies. It won't throw you candidates, but it will tell you the target companies, which region is hiring, etc. So use it for your market intelligence as well. These are some of the things I have tried using ChatGPT. I know many people are doing much more, but this is what I would like to share with the universe today.
Okay. Great insights, Susan and Anshu. So it was lovely to have you guys, and thank you all the folks who have joined us and who will be getting this recording over email also. So with that, we come to the close of the entire roundtable. Thank you guys for joining in, and take care. Have fun. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.